Okay, so tonight we are very excited to be talking about the Melchemet Gog and Magog and the end of times, and this is a super exciting topic, and lots of people want to know what's going to be like this Armageddon kind of apocalypse kind of thing. And the reason why it's a topic now of all times is obviously because we're in the middle of a big war, right? So Rav Kook has a very interesting paragraph where he writes in Arot HaMelchama, in the Sefer called Arot, that he writes that Kishiyesh Melchama Gedola Ba'olam Mitarer Korach Mashiach. That it's like the way that a Jew works is that when we hear war, we're supposed to think, oh, it must be Mashiach. I mean, like, that's the way it's supposed to be. That when we hear about war, so we automatically think that, oh my gosh, this is the beginning of the end, and that this is really the way a Jew is supposed to be thinking, and this is part of the fact that we're mitzvah l'shor. This is part of the fact that there's a mitzvah that everybody is incumbent upon him to anticipate the Geula, to anticipate the redemption, to anticipate Mashiach, and this is like this way it's supposed to be. That when we hear about war, we immediately say that, wow, maybe this is the end. So whether or not this is the end or not is really irrelevant, and anybody who thinks that they know is a fool. Okay, there's plenty of people that are claim to know things and claim to be able to predict the future and claim to be prophets, and it's all a bunch of garbage. And the people that know are not going to say. Okay, it doesn't go together. If you somebody said about Kabbalah in general that if you say you know, you don't know. If you say you don't know, so it could be you know, it could be you don't know. And I don't know. So
it's like the secret units in the army.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said they're part of one, you know they're not.
But the fact is that the fact that we're talking about Mashiach, we're talking about what's going to be at the end, we're talking about when we have the Geula. So this is actually a very positive thing, and it's really the way we're supposed to be programmed. So that's why there's this interest and this motivation to look into this topic, try to figure out what's going to be, and it's really a very beautiful thing. Okay, so we already had a class about this, but there's a lot of stuff that we didn't get to, and so the first thing that we have to analyze is who is this Gog. So first of all, a common misconception that I'm sure we pointed this out in the first class, that when we say Melchemet Gog or Magog, it doesn't mean Gog versus Magog. It means Gog is the king of a country called Magog. Okay. So now who is this? Is this mysterious person named Gog? So it's important to note that apparently this is a title, and Magog is simply, even though Magog is actually one of the grandsons of Yefet in the Torah. So one of the sons of Noach was Yefet, so his grandson was named Magog. But the point is that it's something. It represents something. It's a certain force, and it doesn't have to be a certain nation. It doesn't have to be a certain person. And there's a very clear proof to this because it says in the Gemara in Sanhedrin Tzaddik Dalet that Bikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lasov Chizkiah Mashiach V'Sancherev Gog Magog, that Hashem wanted that Chizkiah HaMelech should be Mashiach, and that Sancherev, the king of Assyria, that he should be Gog and Magog. But it was this whole thing that the angels didn't allow him. It's very interesting, actually, that the angels said that how can you allow Chizkiah to be Mashiach if when he defeated his enemies in wars, he didn't thank you. If he didn't thank you, so then he doesn't deserve to be Mashiach. Okay, so that's why how that shalom. So that's how that got messed over. That he wasn't able to be Mashiach. But we see from here that his name was Chizkiah. The name of Sancherev, the name of Sancherev was not Gog. So clearly, from the fact that Sancherev could have been Gog, so clearly it doesn't mean that your parents named you Gog, right? Okay, so we'll get to exactly what's the mashmaut of the name Gog. We mentioned last time that in the Yalkut Shemaini, in Parshas Korach, it says that Gog u Magog in Gematria is 70. 70. So this is a reference to the 70 nations of the world, and meaning that Gog and Magog represents all of the nations of the world, all of the whole world against us. Talks about us as being the Jews as being a sheep among 70 wolves that are trying to eat it. Like this, these are like, so Gog and Magog means that everyone's against us. Okay, and this is clear in the Psukim. It says at the beginning of the prophecies of Gog and Magog that Hashem is going to gather together all of the nations of the world to fight against the Jewish people. Okay, so it says that the nevuahs of Gog and Magog are in two places. In number one, they're in Yechezkel, Lamed Ches and Lamed Tes, and number two in Zechariah, which is the second to last of the prophets that we had. In the end of Zechariah, Yud Bet, Yud Gimel, Yud Daled. Okay, that's where we have the prophecies of Gog and Magog, both in Yechezkel and in Zechariah. So it talks about the Safti Kol HaGoyim al Yerushalayim, that I'm going to bring all of the nations against Yerushalayim. So it's clear that all of the nations of the world are teaming up against us, and that's one of the symptoms. That's one of the ways that we're going to know that this is the end, that this is the last war. Okay, so the war of Gog and Magog. So this is something that it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's part of a process. This is the process of the end of times, like the messianic process, and it's not exactly clear what exactly is the order. That the Rebbe of Chabad, so he brought a contradiction in Gemaras, whether or not it's going to be before Mashiach comes or after Mashiach comes. Okay, and he answers this contradiction by saying that Mashiach itself is actually a process. Okay, so it'll be once the beginning of the messianic process. So at that point, so that is when the Milchemes Gog and Magog is going to happen. The Psukim in Yechezkel say a very interesting thing, that it says that the Milchemes Gog and Magog can only take place once we are already returned to Israel. It talks about Eretz mishuvevet micherev mekubetzet me'amim rabim al harei Yisrael asher hayu al Chabad tamid, that the mountains of Israel that were a wasteland, that were desolate for so many years, so they're going to come back to them, and the Jewish people are going to be gathered from many nations. V'hu me'amim hotzah, but they came out of all of their captivities, of all of their exiles from all the different nations. V'yoshvu levetach kulam, and all the Jews are going to come and sit with security in the land of Israel. And that is when Gog and Magog is going to come and attack us. And that's when the Nesafti al-Zachem Kol. So the part of what ticks them off is the fact that we've come back, that we're starting to make it, we're starting to build ourselves. So that really ticks them off, and that's why they all gather against us. And so it couldn't have happened until now. Okay, the meaning that this prophecy that Gog and Magog is going to happen after we come back from the exile. So it couldn't have happened earlier in history. It could have only happened after 1948. Okay, so it says there's going to be a war against Jerusalem. Okay, so for both of these reasons, so World War I and World War II could not have been Milchemes Gog and Magog, right? So now the
Rabbi?
Yeah.
If it was a process, then maybe it could be possible that there's one in the beginning and one at the end.
One what at the beginning? One what? It's very possible that there's going to be more than one. We're going to get to that, but it could be that these are only talking about some of them. It's possible, but the end is not. The end certainly hasn't happened yet. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So what's going to happen with this war? What's going to happen with this war? So it says Hashem is going to fight against all the non-Jews and He's going to destroy them, and it'll be good for us. Okay. So now, is it going to be scary for us, or is it going to be not scary for us? Is it going to be good for the Jews or not good for the Jews? Okay. So this is also not clear. That this seems to be a discrepancy between these two prophecies, between the prophecy of Zechariah and the prophecy of Yechezkel. That in Zechariah it seems to say that it's going to have bad ramifications for the Jews. It says that we're going to be exiled from Jerusalem. It says that he's going to take over our houses, going to take our wives, and it's going to be very bad. In Yechezkel, it seems that Hashem is going to completely watch over the Jews, and he's going to be just only against our enemies, and it's going to be completely fine. So what's it depend on? So first of all, it's very possible that it depends on our tshuva. It depends on how we are at the time. That these are two possibilities of what's going to be. And the Vilna Gaon writes that when it says a negative, when it says a bad, ominous prophecy in the prophets, so it doesn't have to actually happen. Any good prophecy, any good promise that it says in the prophets, so if Hashem says it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But any negative prophecy, so it doesn't actually have to happen because you can undo the decree. For example, Hashem gave a prophecy to Nineveh. He told Yonah, tell the city of Nineveh that in 40 days they're going to be destroyed. And what happened? That was a prophecy, right? And what happened? They did tshuva and they overturned the decree. So when there's a bad decree, so that doesn't mean it has to happen. That means that there was a decree that's going to happen, but it doesn't mean that you can't undo the decree. Okay? So in this vein, so first of all, we could do tshuva, and second of all, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said that whatever is the bad things of Chavlei Mashiach, of Gog and Magog, so after the Holocaust, he said, we have nothing to worry about, and from now it's going to be Ach Tov v'Rachamim for the Jewish people. It's going to be only B'sarat Tovat. It's only going to be good things. Meaning that the danger, the scary part of Gog and Magog is absolutely behind us, and so it's a happy thing. Gog and Magog, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be huge war, but it's going to be huge for the other people. We're going to be safe. We really should not worry because Hashem is going to take care of us. Okay? Now, so now, a couple of things that I want to go through regarding if this is going to, regarding things that might point to the fact that this does have to do with this war, that Chavat Barzel, that first of all, we have an ancient tradition from Rav Hai Gaon. Rav Hai Gaon was one of the first Gaonim, which is right after the time of Chazal. Okay, so we have a tradition from Rav Hai Gaon that Milchemes Gog and Magog is going to start on Sukkot, and based on this tradition, so that's why we read about the wars of Gog and Magog on Sukkot. That on the first day of Sukkot, the Haftarah is from Zechariah, and on Shabbos Cholamayit Sukkot, so the Haftarah is from Yechezkel. Like mamish, the two places in the entire Tanakh that talks about Gog and Magog, so that's the Haftarah is for the first day of Sukkot and Shabbos Cholamayit of Sukkot. Because this is not by accident. It's because we have this ancient tradition that Sukkot is the time of Milchemes Gog and Magog. Okay, and so we know that Simchas Torah is really considered part of Sukkot. Okay, it's not that we do say Shechianu because it's also its own thing, but the Gemara says that for six things it's considered its own holiday, but for everything else it's considered a continuation of Sukkot. Okay, so the fact that this war started on Simchas Torah, so that is totally in consonance with the fact that we have the tradition that Milchemes Gog and Magog is supposed to be on Sukkot. Okay, now in Yechezkel, so it says the Gog and Magog, so they say that I'm going to go and attack the places that are just out in the open, that they don't have a wall. And that's precisely what they did. They came onto these kibbutzim that were just very, very vulnerable. They were they had no protection. That's how they started this war. Now, in this prophecy of Yechezkel, so he writes that kol chama tipol, that when Hashem is going to destroy them, so every wall will fall down. Every wall will fall down. So this is that of theirs, and that's very much in consonance of this extreme bombing that we're doing in Gaza. That every wall is falling down. Baruch Hashem. I hope that they only continue, and there shouldn't be left one wall in the entire entire Gaza, except for, of course, I understood that they opened up a Beit Chabad, so that wall can stay. But that's also mamish and consonants. The next prophecy he writes Labiut that he writes V'hiketi kashtecha miyadacha. Hashem tells Gog, I'm going to throw away your bow and arrow from your hands. Okay, that they're going to have their weapons. I'm going to throw down your weapons. Okay, and this is like the Iron Dome. So that's exactly what Hashem does. That he takes their weapons and he throws them down. Okay, V'shalachti esh b'Magog. Hashem says, I'm going to throw lots of fire. I'm sure you've seen all the videos of how exciting it is to see all of their buildings full of fire. And now we're still waiting. That it does say in the same prophecy of Yechezkel, it says, "V'nishpatti ito b'dam b'geshem shotef ba'avnei al gabish eish v'gafris." So we have fire, but it says that there's also supposed to be blood and extreme rain and hailstones and fire and sulfur. Okay, so sulfur could be our rockets, right? But hail, I'm not sure what the hail is. I'm not sure what the blood is. Okay, so we'll wait and see. Wait and see what Hashem has in store. Like I said, it could be that this is not. It could be that this is just something else that needed to happen as part of this long process. But it is exciting to see that these things are in consonance with this war, that it's possible that this is going to be something big. Obviously, the only way that it's going to be the end is only if it escalates to a world scale. Okay, because one of the very basic factors of Milchemes Gog and Magog is v'nasafti elechem kol hagoyim. It's going to be all of the nations against us, not just one or two. And so, for this to be the end, it would need to be turned into a world war. Okay, so I'm not going to say chas v'shalom because it'll be good. If this will turn into a world war and this will be Milchemes Gog and Magog, so that'll be good because that will be the beginning of the Geula. And like we said, we don't have to be concerned because Hashem is going to watch over the Jewish people, and so it's going to be that would be awesome if this would turn into a world war. Okay. So now a couple more points of just understanding what is the process. What is the process that is described of what to anticipate, what to expect in the narrative of the story. So the Navi Zechariah, so he tells us that first of all that during this process there's going to be a big eulogy, a big hesped for Mashiach ben Yosef. Okay, who is Mashiach ben Yosef? Mashiach ben Yosef is the one who's going to conquering the world. He's the one who's going to be our general. Okay, so there's going to be, and he's going to die. He's going to die during the war. Okay, even though we're going to win the war, but he is going to be killed. Okay, it means so there are going to be casualties, even though this is the end, even though this is a good ending, but there still are going to be casualties, and this is a reference to Mashiach ben Yosef. And so this could be interpreted as the soldiers that are being killed, and that even during this war there's going to be this sadness, there's going to be this heaviness. The next thing that Navi Zechariah says is very fascinating. That after the war is over, so he says V'hasirosi es Navi hasheker mikar b'chem, that there's this whole paragraph in Zechariah about all of the false prophets doing tshuva. All of the false prophets doing tshuva, the prophets that were saying lies this whole time, so they're going to have to do tshuva. And, when you read the Navi, it seems like such a weird thing. Like how is that such a big thing? It really gets like a whole 10 or 12 psukim in Zechariah talking about how the prophets are going to do tshuva. Okay, but now that we have social media, and we know about all this fake news and all this lies of propaganda, and you saw the thing about this Palestinian that took a doll and said, "This is my dead baby," and this is ridiculous things and all of these Nevi'ei Sheker that say that it didn't happen and we deserved it and we did it ourselves, and all of these false prophets that are saying they're selling these lies to the world. So they are part of the problem. We're going to get later into how big of a problem they are, and it says that they're going to do tshuva. There's Nevi'ah Sheker. All the false prophets are going to do tshuva. Okay. Then the Navi Zechariah says that 2/3 of the world is going to be destroyed, and only 1/3 is going to, of the non-Jews, is going to 2/3 are going to be destroyed, and only 1/3 is going to remain. And that 1/3, so Hashem says, Utzraftim, I'm going to test them, I'm going to make sure that they're really deserving, and then they're going to become mine. So that the last third of existence, the last third of the Gentile world, so they will have a place in the end of times, and it'll be through a great tshuva. So obviously I think we can find like 33% of the non-Jewish world who are still okay, who are still righteous, who are still not calling from the river to the sea, and so those are those 33%. Those are the ones who are going to remain. And then he goes on to crazy things, and he says that there's going to be a punishment to all of the ones who wanted to destroy us. It says Hamek Besarai, that his bones will stay intact, and his flesh will melt. Okay, so many claim that this is a reference to nuclear war. Okay, this would also be in consonance with some tradition that it's not clear exactly where this tradition comes from, but some claim, like Rav Moshe Sternbuch, who's somehow a descendant of the Vilna Gaon, he brings down that he has a tradition from the Vilna Gaon that Milchemes Gog and Magog is going to last 12 minutes. That the whole war is going to last 12 minutes, and the question is that how on earth, if it says in the Chumash, it says in the Navi that 2/3 of the world is going to be destroyed, how could that only take 12 minutes? So now that we have nuclear war, so then it theoretically is possible, right? And so that would theoretically make sense. Obviously, like we said before, it would have to be in a way that's going to be safe for the Jews. Okay, but it theoretically is possible. I don't know if at this point in time, if we have enough nuclear weapons to destroy 2/3 of the world. There are?
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. Okay. So then the Navi says, "Ve'amdu raglav b'har zeisim b'yemahu." It says that Hashem, he will stand upon his feet on Har Zeisim, at the Mount of Olives, on that day. V'nifka Har Zeisim, and Har Zeisim will be split into two, and that there will be a great light. Even though it's nighttime, there will be a great light. And then it says that there will be an amazing river of water coming from Jerusalem to the rest of the world. And that will be the end. That will be the unity of Hashem at that point. So that everyone will see the truth, and everyone will see the goodness, and everyone will see that the Jews are actually the good people, and they should stop trying to kill us. So that's the basic storyline. That's the basic storyline. Now, what I want to speak about is that why this is precisely the end goal of Milchemes Gog and Magog is Vayashem lemelech hakol haaretz b'yamahu yeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad, that the unity of Hashem echad, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem echad, the fact that Hashem is one. This is the end goal of Milchemes Gog and Magog. This is what needs to be brought about. Hashem wants to make His name great, wants to glorify Himself in the world, and this is what we're hoping for. This is what we're anticipating. Now, there's a very interesting thing that going back to the name of Gog. So we said before that it's not his name. It's not his name. I remember during one of the wars in Israel, so some people were trying to claim that George Bush, George is like Gog, and Like, so we said before that it's not a name; it's a kind of title, right? And but if you look at the word, so it's gimel, v'gimel. Okay, so there's a gimel and a gimel. Okay, and the one who's going to triumph over gimel v'gimel is Mashiach ben Daled v'Daled, right? Mashiach ben David is the Redeemer, and so that's exactly like Gog, except David is instead of Gimel v'Gimel, it's Daled v'Daled. Okay, so what exactly is this 3, which is the evil, and the 4, which is the redemption? Okay, and this is actually something which is time relevant as well, because right now we're in the 3rd month of Kislev, right? And we're going into the 4th month. Teves is the 4th month, right? Tishri Cheshvan Kislev. So we're going that Chanukah is the process of going from 3 to 4. Okay. So what exactly is the essence of 3? Okay. So the truth is that it's a little bit confusing, because there's a good 3 and there's a bad 3. Okay. There's an expression in English, 2 is company, 3 is a crowd. Okay. You ever heard this? Okay. So what's that mean? That if you have 2 people, so then they're having a nice conversation, and then if you have a 3rd person that comes, that's a crowd, right? Meaning the 2 is a couple that works together. 2 is a zivuk, and then when you have a 3rd person, so then he just messes with everybody. Okay. So now, why is this confusing? Because if you have 2 people who are in a fight, so then the 2 is being bepirut, that the 2 is separate. Because really, why is it 2? Why isn't it 1? Right? So 2, like sometimes in Chazal we find that 2 represents being very bipolar. Because if it would be connected, it wouldn't be 2, it would be 1. Right? So if you have a 2 which is in a fight, so then when the 3rd guy comes, he's the mediator and he's making peace between them. Right? So that's a 3 which is good. But you also have a 3 which is bad. Okay, a 3 which is a crowd, and 3 which represents riboy. And this is expressed in Chazal. It says in the pasuk in Tazria, it says something about yamim rabim. So Chazal say yamim means 2, because it's plural. Rabim means 3. Okay, so something about 3 is it's rabim. Okay, it's many. Okay, so now what is the essence of harbe? What does it mean to have riboy? Okay, this is something very relevant to yesterday's parsha, to the last Shabbos' parsha, that we have a confrontation between Yaakov and Esav, and they talk to each other, and Yaakov very much wants to give Esav a big present, right? Because why do you want to give him a present? Because he doesn't want him to kill him, right? But he wants to give him a present, and so but Esav doesn't want to take it, and he says, come on, I don't need your presents. Yesh li rav. Yesh li rav. So of course the Rishonim say that even Esav has a rabbi. Like just because you're listening to your rabbi doesn't mean that maybe your rabbi is just as twisted as you are, and so but in Pshat, yesh li rav, it means I have a lot. Okay, as Yaakov says when he says back to him, so he says I'm also good. Ki chanani elokim v'chi yesh li kol. So all the commentaries note that there's a difference between what Esav says and what Yaakov says. That Esav says yesh li rav, I have a lot, and Yaakov says I have everything. So what's the difference between rav and kol? What's the difference between having a lot and having everything? So the difference is that rav, having harbe means that there's many. Meaning that there's, when you have a lot, it means that you have many individual things. Having everything, the word kol is like the word klal. Klal means a generalization. So kol is something that connects. Okay? So having harbe means I have a lot of different things, but each one actually stands alone. Okay? Whereas having kol means that I have everything that I need. And it's all part of one big system, and it all works together. Okay. So this is when we're talking about Gimel being harbe, so we're saying that Gog represents multiplicity. That Gog represents seeing the world that everything is standing alone. and nothing really has anything to do with anything else. Okay, and this is a worldview which is antithetical to emunah, because emunah is what brings everything together. That when you have God in your life, so then everything comes together. Okay, that there is nothing that stands alone, because every single thing in the world, every single interaction in the world, every single thing that I have to go through in my life, so it's all part of this big thing called, how do I serve Hashem? Like, what is my mission in life? That what is happening? And it's all part of this big picture. That when you have God in the world, then everything, that there's a context. So somebody once said that Judaism is the answer to all the questions. Okay? That if there's no gods, then nothing makes sense, because everything really just stands alone. Once you have God, so He is the answer to all the questions. And and that's why it's a backwards thing when people say that, like, I have questions on God. Like, okay, it's true. There's plenty of questions on God, but if you don't have God, you have many more questions, because God's the thing that puts everything into a context, puts everything into some kind of perspective. Okay, so we're talking about the number 3. Number 3 represents multiplicity, represents riboy, and this is the mindset of Esav. This is the mindset of the non-Jewish world, the secular world, that they see things, everything in the world as being standing alone. Okay, and what are they missing? They're missing this 4th point, right? There's 4 letters in Hashem's name. Okay, and this 4th point of Hashem's name is the thing that puts everything together. It gives everything a context. Okay, and so this is what David represents. This is the Dalid Vidalid. Okay, so obviously in Gog, so then this is the Gimel, and because the Vav is the thing that connects, so the Gimel is not connecting, so the Gimel represents Riboy. So interestingly, in the Milchemes Gog and Magog, which is this all about Gimel, so we have traditions. This comes together with what Rosh Hashanah was saying, that we mentioned last time, that there's a tradition from Rebbe Yopian that he received from the Chavetz Chaim, that the Chavetz Chaim told him after the First World War that in 15 years there's going to be another war, that this is going to be the first. He said the Milchemes Gog and Magog is going to come in 3 steps, and the first step is what we just experienced in World War I. In 15 years is going to be another war that's going to make World War I look like child's play, and that's not going to be the end. And then there's going to be a 3rd part, which is going to be the entire world is going to be involved, and that's going to be the end. Okay, so the Chavetz Chaim already saw Baruch HaKodesh that there's going to be 3 parts to Milchemes Gog and Magog. Now, very interestingly, in the Medrash in Tehillim, so it also refers to Milchemes Gog and Magog as having 3 parts. 3. So this is going on the Pesukim, and we say in Hallel, that David Melech says that Kol Goyim Sivavuni B'Shem Hashem Ki Amilam. Sabuni Gam Sivavuni B'Shem Hashem Ki Amilam. Sabuni Kidvarim Docho Keish Koitzim B'Shem Hashem Ki Amilam. Okay, that he says that the Goyim, that the non-Jews surrounded me. He says this 3 times. First he says just Kol Goyim Savuni, then he says Sabuni Gam Savuni, then he says Sabuni Kedvarim, that they surrounded me like bees. Okay? And each time he says B'Shem Hashem Ki Amilam, that I know that Hashem is going to protect me. Okay? So the Medrash Tehillim says that these 3 sabunis, these 3 times that all the nations are going to surround me, so this is referring to 3 steps in Milchemes Gog and Magog. That the first time it says Asid Lichnos as Kol HaGoyim Kuloi, that he's going to collect all of the nations of the world. Shnamar v'nas v'elav Goyim Rabim. Okay, so when Gam Savoni, what does that mean? So Asid Lahargish Kol HaOlam Ulaloisam D'Yushalayim Shnamar Lamarog Shogoyim. Okay, so now he says the second time it's going to be more exciting than the first time. They're going to be like really excited to destroy the Jews. The first time is going to be more of a quiet thing. They're going to be against us, but it's going to be more of a quiet thing. And the second time they're going to get excited, and he cites a pasuk in Tehillim Parak Bet, Lama Ragshu Goyim Ulu'umim Yagurik, that why are all the Goyim getting so excited? And it says that they're going to go, that what are they doing? That they're coming al Hashem ve'al Mashiach, that they're going against God and against His Mashiach. Okay, so they're all that. This is and the second time, so they got excited. Lama Ragshu Goyim. They're all coming against the Jewish people. It's against Hashem. It's anti-Semitic. It's religious. Okay, it's that they hate God and they hate the fact that we have the presence of God in our midst. And then this is mamish fascinating. That the third time, so it says Sabuni Kedvarim, that they're going to surround me like bees. So the Medrash Tehillim says that this is a reference to diburim. That when it says Dvarim means bees, but it's actually a reference to diburim. It's going to reference to speech. That they're going to be. Did I quote this? Did I quote the words? It says the lahotzi. Oh, here it is. Asid lifers dugmanios akol medinas lahotzi kruzot. They're going to let out pishkavilim. They're going to destroy us in just with their propaganda. Shenemar kiru zayis ba'amim kitshum lochama. That it says that cry out to the nations and kitshum milchama and how do you say sanctify war. That's what the pasuk says. That's what the non-Jews are going to say. They're going to make a big propaganda in the entire world. This is a social media war. The Navi the Medrash is predicting that the third part of Mechemes Gog and Magog is going to be a social media war, and they're going to say that they're going to say Kiru Zayis Ba'amim Kitshu Milchama, sanctify war. And this we know is very amazing for them to say because Hamas has been saying since the beginning of the war that they love death more than we love life. They want us dead more than we want to be alive. Okay, and that's what it means. That's so the opposite of we hate war. We are waiting for the day that that we're waiting for the day that there's only going to be peace. And they are a militant group, that their philosophy, their whole life, the ideology is about war, is about fighting, and so this was all foreseen in the Medrash Tehillim. Now, being that on this note that the last part of Mechemes Gog and Magog is going to be a social media war, I think in this context it's noteworthy that Rabbi Nassan Mibreslov, so he saw this book. I believe that someone has it. I don't know. I never looked at it, but it's not in the regular books. But I believe it exists somewhere. That Rabbi Nachman wrote a manuscript called Megillat Starim, the Megillah of Secrets. What's a Megillat Starim? It's his predictions of how the end of times is going to look. Okay, so Rav Nassan was privy to this Megillah Starim, and he writes that in Megillah Starim, Rabbi Nachman does not discuss Mechemes Gog and Magog. It seems like it's not going to exist. And he writes that perhaps Rabbi Nachman understood the Mechemes Gog and Magog is actually a reference to Apikorsis. That the war that the Torah the Navi is predicting about Mechemes Gog and Magog, it's actually not a physical war, but rather it's an ideological war. It's a war of emunah. It's a war of faith. It's that they're trying to take us away from our emunah, and that when it says v'nesfu kol hagoyim, that the whole world is going to come against us, it means that they're going to try to get us to join their team to leave our emunah. Okay, that's how Rabbi Nachman understood Mechemes Gog and Magog. So that it's a different twist. Like that's not what I meant when I said it's a social media war, but that what Rabbi Nachman understood in Mechemes Gog and Magog certainly could make sense with this Midrash Tehillim that it's an ideological war, that it's about the diborim. Then saboni diborim, that they're surrounding me with words. Okay. Now, the Gemara says in Shabbos Kuf Yud Ches that kol hamakayim gimel sudot b'Shabbat. If you have 3 meals on Shabbat, so then nitzal migimel praniot. Then you are going to be saved from 3 dangers.
Try to come back.
Okay. So you're going to be saved from 3 dangers: from Michavli Mashiach, Medina Shel Gehenim, Umi Mechemes Gog and Magog. That if you are careful to have every Shabbos, if you're careful to have 3 meals, so then you're going to be saved from 3 dangerous things: from Chavli Mashiach, meaning the dangerous things that happen before Mashiach, from being punished in hell, and also from Mechemes Gog and Magog. Okay, so now, the Chazal tell us that this is the way to be saved. This is the way to protect ourselves. Yeah, so it's why of all things that they're going to save you from Mechemes Gog and Magog. Why having 3 meals on Shabbos? Why is that the thing? So based on this midrash, and certainly based on our understanding that Gog is all about Gimel, it's about the 3. It's about the 3's a crowd. It's about the riboy. It's about seeing the lack of connection in the world. So taking 3 meals on Shabbat. So what does that really mean? What does that really mean? So what does Shabbat represent? Shabbat is the day of unity. Okay, it says in the Zohar that many people say it every week in Kabbalat Shabbat. The Razat, the Shabbos, the secret of Shabbos, Shabbos dis achdas berazat de echad, is that Shabbos is unified with oneness. Okay, that the entire world comes together on Shabbat. Okay, or in other words, that I was just mentioning this in a different class, that there's 6 directions. There's 6 directions of expansion, right? That north, south, east, west, up and down, and then there's the center. So the center is what connects all of the expansion. So Shabbat is the center. Shabbat, when you have Shabbat, so then everything comes together. Everything makes sense. Okay? If you don't have Shabbat, then everything is chaotic. Everything is just going in a different direction. When you have Shabbat, so then everything comes together. So this 7th point, so Shabbat represents unity. Shabbat represents bringing the entire world together. So when we're talking about having 3 meals on Shabbat, so what are we really saying? They're taking this separateness, taking this threesomeness, and bringing it into Shabbat. That's bringing the 4th point into the 3 points, that making it into a square, making it into something that's unified, making it into something that's coherent. Okay, so this is the essence of having 3 meals on Shabbat, is that turning the 3 into 4. That the 4th point is Shabbat itself. The 4th point is the thing that unifies reality, and this is really the essence of the Geula. This is V'haya Hashem Melech HaKol Aretz B'yamahu Yeh Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. That there's two ways to look at reality. That there's looking at reality and just that everything is a randomness, everything is chaotic, that things just happen to me, and there's a way, and that's the Gog Magog mentality, and that is the apikorsis that's trying to overtake us, and this is true in the course of war as well. Like a person can look at wars and see and feel that this is just everything is just random, everything is just happening to me, and then there's the David, the Daled V'Daled, that to see that there is this 4th point that is coming together, it's bringing everything together, and that is God, and that is that everything is part of a big plan, everything is falling into place exactly the way it needs to fall into place, and this is the ideology of the Geula. This is the ideology of the fact that everything is coming to its end. So this is obviously very relevant to Hanukkah, and that Hanukkah is the holiday of miracles. It's the holiday that we understand that there is more to life than just the naturally what we see, that just the physical world is full of chaos. The physical world is full of separateness. And the world of spirituality, the world of miracles, is the world where everything comes together, the world where everything is united. So that's why the Hallel of Hanukkah goes from the third month into the fourth month, because it's bringing the four into the three, it's bringing the unity of spirituality into the separateness of the physicality. And this is really the most important thing. The most important thing that we need to know. The most important thing that can ever happen is connection. Is connection. Like that being Jewish is about connecting. Being like having God in your life is going to bring us closer to each other. And this is why that the secret to Geula is actually achdut. It's actually togetherness, because the like the Balatanya that we just had is Yantiv. So he has a very beautiful phrase in the Tanya, Perek Lamed Bet. He writes that the more spiritual you are, the more you're going to love every Jew. The less spiritual you are, the more you're going to hate every Jew. Because ein hapirud ela begufim, because the separateness that we have between us, it's only in our bodies. Aval b'neshamot kulanu echad. But in our souls, all of our souls are connected. So if you have a person who's a very materialistic person, so he looks at life with materialistic glasses, and that his whole just experience is a materialistic experience. So then I'm me, you're you. Why should I care about you? You're different. You're other. But if I'm a spiritual person, I experience life with spiritual glasses. So then when I see you, I see me, because I know that your soul and my soul are exactly coming from the same place. We're actually parts of each other. We're all interconnected. And the more spiritual I am, that the more I'm going to love every Jew. So the secret of Achdus is the secret of Geula. This is what's bringing us to V'haya Hashem l'melech hakol ha'aretz v'yamahu Hashem echad u'shmo echad. This is exactly what Gog and Magog wants to take us away from. That he is all about separateness. He's all about not having God in life, not having a context. And the more that we bring Emunah into our lives, the more that we bring, the more that we experience life with this spiritual glasses. So then, the more everything comes together, the more that there's unity in everything. So I really bless us all that we should really be able to feel the connection, to feel all connected to each other, to feel that we are all one, to feel that God is really present in everything, and nothing stands alone. Everything is really part of something very big. And this is what makes life exciting. This is what makes life meaningful. That everything is part of this master tapestry, master story. That everything is coming together, and it's going to a good place. And it's going to have a happy ending, which is certainly going to happen. Whether or not this is the end, or the end is going to be at a later point. But we do know that there is going to be a happy ending, and that's ending of love and connection. B'ezrat Hashem. Right, l'chaim.